Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
All right, we will call the meeting to order. We will move into meeting with the Budget Committee, and then we'll proceed with the rest of the agenda. Turn it over to you.
Does everybody have a copy? I think I left one at each of the select board seats. So I think there's two major things to go over. So on this now, since we're in 2022, the very far right column is the current expenses from this year, and then the second one in from the right is the budget that we're working on. So the two things are looking at any surplus to reduce the taxes to be raised by, and then I have a bunch of quotes for IT support contractors that we can look at. I think I'll just start with the surplus piece. Does that make sense, Janet?
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Everyone here, yeah.
These are the calculations.
We only need three.
So there's two pieces of this. One is just these numbers, and the other one is that there was a slight mistake in the figure used to calculate the tax rate, in that it didn't take into account reducing the taxes by the $32,000 that people voted to return to the taxpayers after the bathroom in the garage was not built. So we raised more taxes than we intended, than the town voted to raise. So I would recommend we take that $32,000 off as surplus this year. And I've put that in the line on the budget, so halfway down the first page on previous year surplus, and I put a note with it.
Yeah.
What were we? Oh, okay.
So that's just to do what should have been done last year. Last year, yeah. And then there would be another, yeah, that's the budget. There's another $39,206 that could be called surplus, that is open for the select board to decide how to handle it. So that's the calculations on the piece of paper I just handed out. So we basically had much more revenue than we were expecting. And while we did spend a little bit more than we had budgeted in 2021, we had $77,550 more in revenue. That wasn't all in taxes. There were other sources of that. There was like a school tax refund. I mean, we can look through here and pick out the things that came in higher than expected.
And was some of that grant money that came in?
Some of it was extra highway grant money. Yeah.
I know it's the select board's decision, but did the budget committee have a recommendation for the $39,000?
We haven't had a chance to talk about that. We also made a mistake in our last meeting calculating the surplus, and so we didn't have this figure to think about.
10,000, so we just kind of said, well, we'll just,
Because we thought, well, there's uncertainty with inflation coming down the line for sure, but this is a higher number than we thought we were working with.
So what if we were going to have the article for the grant, matching funds for the grants? What if we asked that $10,000 from the surplus, we put in that instead of raising, we talked 5,000, right, to be raised, and we put 10,000 of the surplus in there,
And not raise 5,000?
and not raise 5,000.
Okay, so then there's still 29,000 left.
And then I think we take that and put that to reduce taxes.
That sounds,
Okay. What's the anticipation of the grants coming in? And if we put money towards matching for the grant, does it have to be spent this year, or can it be in the fund?
It's a fund that we put in there. So it'll be in there until we sell it, or the town votes to use it for something else.
Okay. With all the grants that are available nowadays, I would say maybe put 15 in instead of 10.
You know? Something like that.
So you want 15 instead of 10?
That's what I was thinking, and I can make that motion if you'd like me to. Just because with so much federal grants and so much state grants that are available, and that once we do need matching funds, it doesn't hurt to have the little extra, so we don't have to raise it come next
Start
year.
up. Well, we may have to raise money next year.
We might.
And just if we use it, if we anticipate it, just to have it there. But to have it start out with a reasonable sum.
So I'll make the motion that we put 15,000 into a fund to have matching grants.
No, that we add that to the article, that
Article
the
for
article
matching
use
grants.
15,000 from surplus to start the matching grant fund. And then
Well, but the article already states 5,000, so are you changing it to take that out?
we haven't approved the article.
Okay,
So yes, we will change that
Okay.
article.
and that surplus is 39,206.89. And the remainder will be returned to the taxpayers.
And the remainder to be used for tax.
offsetting taxes,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Offsetting
taxes.
taxes. I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
For the sake of, for the sake of what goes into the budget in the town report, would you like me to put that remainder amount, the 39,208 minus 15,000 in to reduce taxes, and then we will, the rest will just be in the general fund, depending on how that article is voted?
Yes.
Okay. So, move on to IT support. I contacted 4 vendors and I got responses from 3. One of them basically told me that they were too expensive for us, so that's the first. Dominion Tech says they're too expensive.
Okay.
So, anyone else? Oh, you need one for sure. There's one. So, I started with Dominion Tech. That was the recommendation since they work with Rockingham. Jeff says they start the offices around 10 to 15 workstations, and their lowest cost is $1,500 a month. And he recommended me to Ally Tech, which is the one on the far right. They're up in Burlington also. And the quote I got from them was fairly informal over email, but I've distilled it down, and this is my email correspondence, and I want that for record. And then I also contacted a couple people off of the VLCT website. They have a list of IT contractors who work with towns. And so All Access, which is in the middle here, got back to me and put together this formal quote, which is, I printed out from, it was like a, web page that they sent me a link to. And that's the middle one. So they both have like monthly fees and some hardware fees that would be needed to get started with a more secure system for the town. One thing I should also mention before we get into the details of this is that it was timely that you asked about getting into this. I don't know if you were aware of the VLCT cyber insurance changes, but once I started talking to these vendors, they told me all the little towns are getting in touch with them right now because of the changes in the VLCT cyber insurance policy. I was like, oh, I didn't even know about that.
I did not
So
either.
apparently they sent us a survey in August, which we don't remember getting, which was asking us all about our practices with security and data use. And the deal with them, I called and spoke with, I might have given someone my little cheat sheet with the woman's name. Does anyone have the thing that has my conversation with VLCT on it?
What might it be on?
It's just another one of these pieces of paper that I had carrying with me today, but anyways, I think her name is Susan. She says that for this year we're still covered, and this is our policy in case anyone's interested.
For this year, 2022 all the
For
way to-
2022, we're covered even though we failed to respond to the survey. But she says next year we will not be covered unless we're able to answer these questions to their satisfaction.
Do they, did they think
They
they
sent
emailed
it
it?
by email apparently.
I never saw it.
Yeah. So somehow it slipped past. So it's going to be important for us to get up to speed. We failed this miserably right now. Yeah. So there's quite a lot of things that need to get done.
those
Like
questions for the select board to answer, for the town clerk to answer, for
the
both?
office
itself.
the person, the clerk, probably. I mean, really for the IT support provider, because it's really a lot of it's really technical. I couldn't answer a lot of these about like protocols and encryption and whatnot. I mean, it would have to be coming from the person who's setting up the secure systems. Yeah.
So did VLCT tell us who they thought would be a reasonable company? Or did they have any suggestions for us?
No, I didn't ask for recommendations actually from the woman at the insurance, but these Dominion and All Access are on their list. Ally Tech is not on their list, but was recommended by Dominion. I didn't seek anybody. I didn't go looking just in the regular phone book for someone local because I thought it important that they worked with towns.
And Allied Tech, even though it's less, hasn't worked with any towns, right?
Right.
But also, there is 4 things that are not included in the quote that we don't know how much they're going to be if we need those things.
Yeah.
True.
So All Access is specifically working towards the requirements for the cyber insurance, and they work with lots of towns. He was super thorough. They're a little bit closer. I think Ally Tech, if we're just going for cost, they would be workable, but they're further away. They seem a little more scattered. I don't think it would be the level of service.
Now this 13,000 first year, that is just for getting up and get going, right?
That's all the cost for the first year, and then, but ongoing, it is a bit more expensive monthly. So if you add up all of the monthly stuff above would be the ongoing. I should have done that.
So about 9,000 a year, give or take.
Yeah. Exactly.
So the things that were not quoted and you don't know that they're included, those are services that they do offer, they just didn't give us a price on them?
I actually don't know. I think a couple may be included. I think there's gonna be some extra costs if we went with Ally, as they wanted to start by doing an audit of the system, and then they may have more recommendations of stuff we need. So he wasn't really willing to offer more specifics before they did that. But I do think some of those things are included and some of them are not. Like, I don't think the full cybersecurity package is gonna be included, but some of it will be. Like All Access included in here, subscription to Microsoft 365, which is like, I think we would pay that directly. I don't think we would pay that to them, but it's part of a better security and backup protocol for working with documents.
Now, the modem and hardware, they want $2,000 for. What is that they're gonna install here that's
So
different
they
from what
want
we
us,
have?
they want us to have a town-owned modem, not the one that comes from Comcast. And they want to have some kind of special switching device. I don't know exactly what that's for. There's a firewall, which is an actual piece of hardware running some kind of software. And then there's a router as well, which I think like makes the Wi-Fi signal.
So our Comcast signal is probably not as fast as some of the others. Do they think that we'll have to upgrade to VTEL?
Yeah, I didn't ask.
That would be
Yeah, I didn't ask that.
about $100 a month more.
Because retail doesn't offer free to town.
You don't, no,
Yeah, so it would
but
be more.
Comcast does, but it's slower and,
I don't necessarily think any of this stuff is going to slow down what we currently have anymore. I don't think it will affect the service coming into the building.
no, but, I mean, will it be fast enough for everything that they have here?
I imagine. Yeah, I don't think anything is going to be critically dependent on internet speed.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion, we go with All Access.
I'll second that motion.
I mean, it'll be a one-year thing, next year we'll have to do it again, and we can,
There may be grants out there for this. I talked to VLTC and they said that the state is working with, I believe they said FEMA for cybersecurity and stuff. And that there's probably gonna be grants out there to help with cybersecurity.
and I mean, it can be changed in a year if they aren't who we want.
So, yeah, we can revisit.
And we will have the hardware and stuff, so.
I mean, Ally Tech has a nice price, but they only quoted half the things, and when they don't give you a quote, you can't assume it's included, and it's probably gonna be a lot more expensive than
It's
All
certainly a
Access.
possibility.
But
Yeah.
I also think it's important that somebody that has worked with towns in Vermont and knows
Yep.
a little about what we have to do and when we have to do it. I think that might be a benefit. So I'll make a motion that we contract with All Access.
And I did second that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
just budgeting for the cost, do we want to maybe put a little bit less than this in the budget and assume we can get at least a little bit in grant money?
I think we should budget for it, and hope we get some grant money, but you never know.
We'll count on it.
I would rather budget for the whole thing.
All right, so we'll add that figure 13,127 to the budget for the
Where will we
computer.
put that? Because, I mean, we have
Well, I
it
think
here,
we put it,
and we have it at the town garage too, so,
oh, you mean where we put it in the budget?
yeah.
We have a line for computer related.
And
I mean, if we split this between the office and the garage, we would probably have to prorate the whole thing, because a lot of the monthly costs go by user, so it would be like 1/3. I said 3 users, because there's a lister, the town clerk, and the garage.
So why don't we
1/3
just
of
put it all on the computer? You're right. That's reasonable.
And do they install hardware down at the town garage too, or do we just piggyback on here?
He didn't, I told him the situation that with the one laptop in the garage, and he didn't quote a separate hardware package. I think my sense is that they might have more of like a procedural recommendation for what is and isn't allowed on the garage laptop if it doesn't have a firewall. But we'll
But
have
they
to
would be
see.
backing it up too.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like all the records that we have. It's basically just
It's just
email in the
email
budget.
there, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be here that we would worry about the records getting lost or frozen.
Or some kind of ransomware or,
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll add that. One thing though, I think we might be able to reduce some of the current costs that we have in computer related. Like if we have the Microsoft products, we can use their Teams for meetings if we need remote meetings and cancel the Google Meet subscription. So we might be able to not quite add on that whole number and still be okay.
Okay. I mean, the Google works pretty well,
It does.
and it's not that expensive, so let's just see how it works before we cancel that.
Okay,
Let's leave that in there
that's fine.
if we have to go back to that.
And you, I mean, halfway through the year, if we find that we're gonna switch over, it's not a yearly subscription with Google, we can cancel at any time,
Yes,
so,
so I would leave it in there just if we,
yeah.
Just, so that pretty much covers it for the IT support. Does anyone have any questions about that?
I don't.
I don't, I'm all set.
I just had one tiny other little thing about a bill that we paid today for the dumpster for the elementary school, and just wondering if we wanted, since we've already paid 623 out of that, I put it under building maintenance because we took out the trash removal line item, if that's a fine expense to add to the building maintenance, or if you wanted to increase it, because I know there were other specific expenses in there that we put money in to cover.
I'm fine with putting it for building maintenance, and it's not something that we're going to do regularly, it was,
It seemed like it was just something we didn't budget for,
Yeah.
and it was a big-ish expense that got paid out today.
are you okay with the building maintenance for that? Do we have other choices? I mean, to me, that sounds fine.
No, I'm
but
just wondering if you wanted to add to the budget in building maintenance.
I would just add it in there.
Yeah, okay. So it's at 7,500 now, but we just spent 623.
So if we add like 500, make that 8, is that reasonable?
Yeah, do you want to do that? Just,
Oh, I thought you were just saying take it out of that, that's already budgeted. I didn't-
Well, it's
No, I
this
was-
year, so it comes out of this year's amount.
Yeah.
So if we had 7,500,
Do
Make
you
it
want to
8.
bump that up to 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
is that reasonable with you?
Yep.
Alright.
Have we got a price from Fire Mutual Aid as to what they're gonna charge this coming year?
No, I haven't. But it keeps going up every year.
When do they usually let you know, Darlene?
I think it's sometime in the summer. June or July, maybe. I don't remember.
They just send it out.
Yeah.
And we did
We did raise that a little bit.
Yeah, it's up a little, but I just didn't know.
What page are you on for that?
4. Yeah.
It was more than we raised 7,500 and it was 8,000 last year, a little over 8,000.
So do you think the 85 that we've got budgeted should cover it?
Well, since we don't know,
I know.
I think it would be reasonable at 85.
We did put the new figures in for the highway payroll that we discussed. I didn't know if that was like a finalized.
I think it was.
Okay. All right. So those are in there.
Anything else?
Anyone else on what the committee had stuff that I've forgotten?
Did we put in the pay raises for the, when it's 12.55 for
Yes.
everybody?
Yeah, we
That's
did
already
put
been
that
figured
in the
out?
budget.
Okay.
I
But
think
we
the
have to vote on
select
it.
board might have to vote on
Yeah.
actually paying the new minimum wage.
Yeah.
And as far as the camp and trash service, they're set for now, right? But
They're set for now. They said usually a month before the contract is up, they'd get in touch with us to let us know if they're going to be going up on the price.
okay.
I'm assuming they might be, but, just because of fuel costs. But
Yeah.
Do any of you, I can get back to All Access to say that you've decided to go with them. If there's any questions that anybody has, or if you'd like them to come and present to the select board at all, I think that was
I
something
don't
that
think
he
they need to
offered.
present to us. I mean, if you listers are fine with it.
And did they give you a possible start date when they can come down?
I haven't got that yet, but I imagine it could be soon-ish to get going with them. They do require like an upfront, they require the onboarding fee and the hardware fee just to accept the contract, the quote that they gave us. So it's like 4,200 and something.
I will make a motion that we authorize payment of that and the signing of the contract when it's delivered to us for the 13,000. 13,127.20.
No. Is this a contract price or is this an estimate that they've given us?
I think it's a contract that's
But I don't think that has a signature spot.
No, it doesn't. It just has like, you know, click this button to accept.
Yeah.
So it's a, it's a
So the
contract,
motion
so
is
they'll stick to it.
to start a contract with them, and if we need to sign, we'll sign it and pay the startup
Okay,
fee.
so that'd be right.
So you authorize me to click the button that says accept. Okay.
So you want to add this to the original motion?
No,
This
it's
is
a
a separate
second.
one.
It's a second.
Okay, so we're going to authorize for the startup fees for all access. And if this contract needs to be signed.
And authorize the signature of the contract if needed. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anything else for the budget?
Good.
All right. Anything you got?
No, we're good. Good.
Okay. All right, adjustments to the agenda,
I don't have anything for you.
adjustments to the
Uh,
agenda.
The only thing I would like to speak before public comment.
Okay. That'll be fine. I can do that. I would make a motion that we, add, the pay rate for the town.
Oh, so you have to vote on that.
We probably should vote on it this month, and, but we're gonna be paying anybody this month, want to do it now. Second, all those in favor? All right, minutes from prior meeting.
The vote from the regular meeting and from the special meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, I will. Second.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Janet, you wanted to say something for public comments?
Okay. At this time, I would like to thank Krista Gay for the holiday gift card and gas gift card that I received from her on December 27th. I was very surprised to receive a card, seeing I've never received one from her before. Although I appreciate the thought, as an elected official of the town of Athens, it would be inappropriate for me to accept it. I'm sure that the Grafton Cares could use a gas card to help those that could use it. Thank you again, Janet Perry. And I would like to,
Sherry, do you work with Grafton Cares? Do you work with Grafton Cares?
I don't.
Totally understand.
the card
Yes,
right there.
thank you, I understand.
Okay,
Card.
thank you.
Do you want to keep the card?
Could I have this put in the minutes?
All right, public comments, Dennis. Krista, public comment?
I just have two quick things. When I have driven by the flag, the light over the flag has been out. When I've driven by a few times over the World War II Memorial, I don't know if it was just covered in snow or what was going on there, so I just wasn't sure if that was something that the town's in charge of that would need to be checked for the light over it at night.
I didn't know it was on the other night.
It's the
It's
the
solar.
cemetery, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
the cemetery committee that kind of oversees that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was because it was covered in snow or something like that, so I just figured
It's a solar light, so I think it's covered and it, you know, or it doesn't get enough sun that it doesn't stay on all night sometimes.
Yeah, I just wanted
so-
to bring it up because I noticed it.
But it's on sometimes.
Yeah. And then the second one was I heard that there was an opening on the Community Center Advisory Committee, so I would just like to volunteer for that position because I'm now able to volunteer. So I'm not sure how that works. I believe it's an appointed position, so I just wanted to volunteer and ask to be appointed to that.
That's Sandy.
Sandy, what is it called?
Community Center Advisory Committee.
Community Center Advisory.
I have some things for the weather emergency committee, so I'll hold those until then. Just a few things. I just wanted to let y'all know, and I guess others, that the drafts for the redistricting maps have come out, and Athens have, if it goes with the final draft, Athens will be taken out of a district with Wyndham and Rockingham and put in a district with Grafton and Chester, and that the select board, the justice of the peace, and the town clerk make up the body that can complain or have their say. Yeah, just wanted to put that out there.
I think the district that we have right now with our 2 representatives have served us well. And I'm not, personally, I'm not thrilled with the idea of just one district, one-member districts, and are moving into Chester, which we don't have a lot of commonality with. But it is the legislature, and they are trying to make all one district areas in the state. But
Should I follow up and see how we can get more connected to express our complaints or express our concerns, or?
it would, yeah, that would be fine with me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll follow up to see what we can do about that.
Can I just make a point on that? What struck me in looking at that and thinking about it was that Chester isn't even in Wyndham County, I believe, which makes no sense. While it is our zip code, but it's not in Wyndham County. So that's another point
So how does that
to
work?
raise. What's that?
Yeah, it doesn't matter?
No, they can move districts around county lines, so that's not I mean, that might be something that we could talk to them about, but our zip code is not their zip code. We share the zip code because Athens can be used on your mail instead of just Chester.
Oh, okay, unlike
so-
like Westminster, you say Putney for the zip code.
Those are them, but
Okay.
Athens has a,
Need a line item.
is what?
It's called a line item.
Line item? Okay. So the 05143 is Athens, Chester, and I think Andover has it so that they can say that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
2 other things. Is there an agenda around? Okay. I'll get that in a second. And the other thing is, when this comes on, we can't hear you back here. So if you could just speak a little louder. I know it's things, but. Can you guys?
Yes,
Go.
Okay, cool. That's all from me. Thank you.
I just had a question about tonight's meeting. It was, or a comment to make. It was a little confusing hearing that the meeting was starting at 6:30 and then seeing the agenda saying that the regular meeting was starting at 6:30, but it didn't seem to say anything about it being a budget committee meeting with the select board, so.
If you look here, the regular Athens Select Board meeting will be held at the town office. The Select Board and the Budget Committee will meet at 6:30 to review the final budget.
Okay, I guess I missed that when I looked at whatever I looked at. The other question I have is just whether or not how things are going with forms coming in for candidates. Are we seeing, I know the deadline is Monday, right?
Yep.
Just curious as to whether or not
We do have a
names are
few.
coming in.
We
to
don't have
fill-
them all, but we do have a few.
We have a few. Okay. And can you let us know who you have, or is that not?
When I get all the forms in, I can do that.
Okay, great, thank you. And the deadline for that is
Monday at 5 o'clock.
at 5. And you're closed here at 1, so what would
We can bring it
somebody
to my house.
bring it to your house before 5?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Public comment?
No?
Sorry, there was one thing I forgot. It's considering that the legislature has now given select boards power to move the town meeting, or is the select board considering moving the town meeting to summer where we can meet outside and during a time where people express that they wanted to be able to have it, like in the evening, so people who work during the day can attend?
Well, that's coming up at 6. We're gonna work on the warning and town meeting.
Number 6. Oh, okay, that was helpful, sorry, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I came in a little bit late.
Go right ahead.
I'm running for moderator for the the Union High School District, Bells Falls Union High School District, and I have no idea how many signatures I need. I'd like to pass around to this crowd if anybody would like to sign. Thank you.
All right, we will go on to boards and officials.
The SU's reported that there were 35 cases of COVID after the Christmas break throughout the SU. And then on Tuesday, January 11th, the state formally announced that the policy change in how the schools are to respond to COVID. And they're not doing any more tracing activities. They're supposed to cease that and not do the PCR surveillance testing at schools. If a case is found within a classroom, that whole classroom will then be sent home, and the rapid tests will be sent home with the students, depending on depending on whether they've been vaccinated or not, and the parents will be administering the tests. So there's changes there. We're still working out the details to figure out how this all works.
Do they provide tests for other family members if there are smaller children or other adults in the house, instead of just sending one test home? Do they send it home for everybody?
They only send it home for the child, and I would imagine that would be because of the limitation on the COVID. We've had schools in the state that actually had to close because they ran out of tests. So.
And there's no way to get other tests for, because if
Yeah,
somebody in the
that
house.
would make sense, but that's not how it's written.
Okay. All right.
So with the kids that are unvaccinated, they get 5 tests to do, and those that are vaccinated have 2 tests for that child. And then we wanted to give a huge thank out to the SU's administration, the business office staff, and the R.H.R. Smith auditors, as well as a small group of CPAs that have came in and helped get the business office back on track. So we've gotten that all straightened out, and everything is in its proper column now. And we're moving ahead. They've come up with with these corrections. We've come up with the budget for the SU. That'll be $5,331,222.50. And that is a decrease from last year of 15%. And then the Wyndham Northeast Union Elementary School District budget is going to be $1,776,983.98. And that's a decrease of 9.8. At this point, we don't know, and that budget also includes the assessment from the SU. So that's what we're spending plus what we have to help with the SU.
So all of our budgets are set and done and in now?
They are.
Okay.
Yep. And do you know? The only thing we don't know, which is the usual case, is what the equalized pupil count will be. The state still hasn't figured that out and given it to us. So then the school district articles and the district board member elections will all be put together in a separate booklet and provided to the town. We'll also be providing the 2 ballots. One ballot will be for board members and one ballot will be for the, what's the word I'm looking for, the articles. And we will provide those as well. Let's see, what else did I have? And this year, the state has just recently came out with saying that board members do not have to get a collection of signatures. I don't know if that goes for you or not.
I've been calling the SU, they didn't know.
Yeah, things have been changing daily lately, so it's a little confusing. Yeah, this one I think just came in today. And then the SU on January 12th officially hired Andy Haas as our superintendent, and he's accepted and he'll be on for 3 years. So we're moving forward.
Have you got an assistant superintendent? Yep.
No, I'm not talking about assistant, yeah, we're working on the business office at this point, getting that pulled back together. We're still stacked there. We need a business manager, which we are in the process. And I believe they have an interview coming up shortly. And there's, what is the term? I've forgotten the term they used. It's like an assistant in the business manager's business office that we haven't had for a while, and the auditors strongly recommend that we fill that slot. So I think that's where we're headed, next is getting those 2 positions filled.
Denise, did you have a question?
She answered the question.
Oh.
2 other things here. We have the 2 options that I was asked to bring up tonight for you folks to make a choice on, for figuring out the number of school board members per town. This would be for Athens and for Grafton, starting next year, where we'll be on our own. Westminster will be on its own by then.
So, as it is now, we elect 2 from Athens, 2 from Westminster, 2 from Grafton.
Right. And so,
How do they,
so that we have the option of, option number 1 is doing it as, it's referred to as at-large, where you get 3 members for Athens, 3 members for Grafton, and both towns vote on all 6, which is the way we do it. Now, all 3 towns were voting on all 6. If you wanted to break it into 2 precincts, do we have 400 population, or is it less?
380.
380, I thought it was less. With Grafton having 600, they would have 3 reps. If we had 400, we would have 2 reps. Less than 400 could, as Jack said, that could make the math a little sloppy. So it doesn't go based on pupil population, it goes based on town population,
Yeah.
right? Because right now, is Athens still have the majority at that school? It fluctuates. I think we were a little on the high. I think we were a few members over, but it doesn't go by student, no.
Yeah,
It
so
goes by
if you have
population.
More students, but then we would have less votes.
Yeah. So the at-large gives each side 3 votes. And the only problem there would be if you had issue with Grafton voting for the Athens people and Athens voting for the Grafton people.
so is that going to be an article for the town meeting?
Now that was something that I was supposed to ask you folks and see which way you wanted to go.
So, I mean, I don't think it's our decision how to
Okay.
do that. I mean, it may be, and I just don't know, but I don't think that would necessarily be the
Maybe put
select.
that into an article?
I would think,
I'll
maybe
bring that up.
check that out, because I think it would be something that, but then we have to vote, right? Or is that waiting until,
Next year.
next
That's
year?
a town meeting unless we wanted to have a special vote. So you need to know that for this coming March? Yeah, because that determines how many members we vote for. Do we want to vote for 1 or 2, depending on how the math works, or do we vote for 3?
Well, if we need to know it for this year, and it is our decision,
My recommendation, I mean, it's hard to say to have an even member board and 3 from each town, but because of our numbers, I really wouldn't want to have 1 member from Athens and 3 from Grafton.
I would agree with that, but I don't really think that the select board will be the ones to set out what the school district, the makeup of that. I would think it would be the school district that would have to vote on it, at town meeting.
I'll ask at next week's meeting.
But I would agree with Denise, and I would make that a motion that would be, the select board's will is to have 3 members from each town voted at large between the 2 towns. Is there a
Yeah.
second?
I'll second that.
Second.
And like I
Is that
said,
motion again, David?
That if it is, that is our preference, the select board's preference, to have 3 members from each town with both towns voting on all candidates.
Okay, select board's preference. 3 members. Each town. Both boards. Boards or towns?
Both towns.
And can you second that?
yes.
And when we say both towns, can we just add in there, like a comma, the new, and do we have a name for our new district?
We don't have a new name, but it's staying the same until otherwise. So it's Wyndham Northeast Union Elementary School District, which is a
So
mouthful.
that-
3 words.
So that we just add that to the entire W.
Is it WNEUS?
W-N, Wyndham Northeast N, Union
W.
Elementary ESD.
Okay.
Voting on the candidates.
After was so much easier.
Yes, if we can change the name when this comes about.
Oh, yes, it will be changed. I mean, once we get to the point where we do the, if you think about a 6-member board, and where things come down to the both towns, there's gonna be a lot of ties.
Well, I don't think it will.
Well, hopefully not.
I would not think that would be.
Thank you, Lynn. Oh, the high school rep, we need to have that on the town ballot, and we do not have a high school rep at this point.
They have not appointed anybody to fill the slot.
As far as I know, they haven't, because, Mr. Fine was it, and he evidently has left the area and did not resign. So I was told that we need to put someone in the ballot for that, well, they need a petition.
Well, no. Well, wait a minute. He still owns property in
Yeah.
town. He is still on the checklist, correct?
Yeah, right now.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think that we can just automatically put that up
They may
there.
not have known that.
So, because he sold some of his property does not mean that he is not
Okay,
available and still
yeah.
can
All
claim
right, I will
residency.
pass that on.
So,
Still on
I mean,
the-
certainly if he resigned and it can be done before Monday, then we can do that. If not, it will then be up to the Union High School to appoint somebody,
Okay,
but it has to be done by Monday, so if people can get right on that, that would be.
His term is up this year anyway, so
Yes,
it
somebody can run against him.
It is up this year?
yes,
Yeah.
Okay, so then, yes, it'll be on the ballot anyways then.
okay. All right, it would be in counties or write-in if no one petitions. So I don't need
That's
to
good.
follow up on that.
What?
I don't need to follow up on that.
I think you
Just let him
will.
know that he's still there until
I'm
March.
pretty sure resigns or
Yeah, okay,
somebody else is elected in March.
okay, got it.
All right, sure.
Not much, just to let you know that we're zeroing in on being able to put our bid package together to send out. Some details to work out on that, and then we'll have it reviewed by Preservation Trust of Vermont, and then it'll be ready to go out.
Sandy? Nothing? Anybody else, boards and officials? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
The emergency board.
What?
You're from the emergency board, right?
Yes, weather emergencies. So, I'm not gonna lie, it took a lot of string pulling to actually get FEMA to respond. They explicitly ignored me, told Hillary that they were ignoring me. Anyways, point is, I finally got in touch with them. I forgot to print it out, so I forwarded to Darlene a map of when all the flood maps are being updated. Ours is being updated on 2023. So we basically are just like playing the waiting game until then. I was able to get from John Broker Campbell, who's our regional floodplain manager, examples of bylaws that we would need for the flood management, floodplain management. So basically our next step, and also it seems that we got money already for the hazard mitigation plan. So
No, we got an email saying that the money has come to the state from FEMA for it, that we can get it. We haven't gotten the check though, right, Darlene?
No, we haven't gotten it.
We haven't gotten the check. It's there, we can get it, but we just haven't got the check itself.
okay, all right. That's pretty much on that. I do have another MOU from Sister Garden on Valley Cemetery for weather emergency food.
We have another one in here too.
So we just need to get that one signed and then copied, and then, yeah. That's it, thank you.
And this one's for,
And while we're on that topic, Darlene, did you have an MOU that Tim was
I just
gonna?
gave it to you.
Oh, okay, great.
who is
I'll
it-
take that
who
one.
is this one for?
Saxon's River Market?
Is that the one I gave you or the
No,
one?
No,
yours
that's,
got,
that's the
you-
one I got from
Tim's
Tim.
waiting to get another
but
one for Saxon's
Tim's
River Market.
doesn't have a name or anything on it, so it's blank.
Okay, so I'll just write Saxon's River Market on here.
All right, so I will make a motion that we sign, that I sign the MOUs for both of these MOUs, and Darlene be authorized to sign them as well.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
And the one from which you was from?
Sister Garden on, what is it, 92 Valley Cemetery.
Okay.
Denise, you seconded that?
I did.
If, I know you keep these, but maybe if Darlene can have a copy of all of them too, all of the MOUs that she has. Do you have them now?
I don't.
So any that are out there that we have, the ones that we've signed, if we can just get a copy for her to keep, to have.
Okay, you mean the ones that have been filled out?
Yeah, that have been filled out and that we've signed.
Yeah, I think we.
Are they in the box?
Yeah, I know there's two.
They're both
I think they're
in the box, and you had a copy for yourself. We only took the copy. I think you have the original.
Okay, that would be in the
I
box.
think we have
Oh.
copies of the
I
others.
don't know that I want to copy.
As long as we have the copies and if they're in the box, then we're fine.
Great.
All right.
So if they're in the box, it's okay?
Yes. So, the model flood hazard here, just to go ask a little about it, I'm not gonna read it all right here. Did we talk to Hillary about this? And because I know that he had indicated that, we might wanna have special things. Have you talked to Hillary about this at all?
No, this is an update since I talked to Hillary. I was gonna have to follow up with him and also follow up with the Weather Emergency Committee because we haven't met yet about how we want to follow up with this, considering, that those are just standards. I just wanted y'all to have a copy and an update.
Okay. But it might be good just to run it by him, say, hey, because I think he will know as much about these as the people that wrote it, so.
Yeah, he's the one who suggested that we get, actually, I think he gave me that, actually. I think that came from him.
So I just know I've talked to him in the past and he
Yeah.
has talked, we should do this and this and it's probably, a lot of it's in here, but
Yeah. Yeah, Hillary's definitely part of the problem.
yes,
Thank you.
I would like it, if he's part of the group working on it, I think we will all be better off. Anything else for boards and officials? Yes.
One thing I forgot, Brockton is having a pre-town school board meeting on February 24th. And I was asked to see if we wanted to run it as a district, and it'll be run as a Zoom meeting, or did we want to do our own town meeting here?
I would think we would run it as a district, wouldn't we?
That's what I was thinking.
So this is the school meeting or?
This would be the pre-town meeting for the school district.
All right, for boards and officials, I would make a motion to appoint Krista to the community center board.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome, Krista.
And not that it's not limited just to the people that were appointed there. If there are others that want to join it, Sandy, is that not true? That we will certainly take anybody we can?
Maybe.
So if anybody else wants to, certainly don't hesitate to let us know. All right, 2022 town warning.
Do we have extra books? Anybody need a book? You got one?
20.
That's what we want, 20, yeah.
What?
I said, I probably should have the papers for the voted articles.
Yes.
2 weeks.
Did that MOU get signed?
Not happy to do it.
Yeah, can I grab it and make a copy and?
You'll just consider it being so.
Sure, do you mind taking one for that?
What's that?
As much as I try, I can't control it.
Okay.
It's just down the
Right
road.
there.
Great, thanks. Being in a home building with all this mold in here, so much fun for you.
Do you want me to copy this one too?
Yeah.
Does it have mold in here?
Well, considering, the cross station being able to flood this last summer, pretty much guaranteed there's mold. And then there's mold out in the sink area and the utility room.
Do you guys,
Monthly,
use my VTAX
Like what?
for Lister stuff?
I was just gonna ask, did you send an email to us?
she was saying,
Yeah.
the address
We
that
use
we put in the
VTEX,
book
but
is
what
56
happened
Brookline Road, and we
When
should
we
change
signed up,
it to
we only have one email.
25.
address.
25.
So now we have 2 email addresses. So what we do does not affect you.
Okay, so it's a whole different account, because we have like 2
Right.
separate my VTAX accounts for payroll and
That's probably
Yeah, so our
and
account is,
PTR.
The reason why it was such a deal is because we changed it. So
Okay.
it says, hello, you changed this, or you
Got it.
changed this.
I was just making sure, I was like, wait, I hope we're not locked out of one of ours.
no, it was,
Had it in the code to your one.
yeah, we have to run it with your computer.
Oh.
And your email, and look at the code code and then longer, so we finally decided it was time for us to change it.
Yeah, so the commissioner would appoint
Get an email. Like it's not, it's gonna be like an Athens document.
Very true.
Get out of all metal being 6 months after. Right, to change them all again for all of our, a lot of change.
So everybody complains, geez, I'm gonna be 50. I'm gonna be
That's all the same.
Okay, yeah.
we'd be sure to have Mike, yeah, between 15 and 25.
So I don't have the
Should
line
get the
on it, it's
mailbox
just
up
not
as
like
soon as we
open
get
yet,
the
for
Yeah.
specific
So
applications.
this is out,
Yeah.
that's the address.
We don't have.
I think we'll be able to apply for a lot of grants.
Where we're gonna get there.
If we had the energy.
A
what?
I knew everything.
Didn't you have a mailbox picked out for the building here?
I haven't exactly picked one out yet, but I've just like looked at some online to get a price.
So we were gonna change
Change the
in
address
here,
in the book.
the town address to,
25.
to 25, but as soon as these are out and that says it's a town address, we should have a mailbox out here.
Okay. Also, Bruce, the mail deliverer, kind of knows the situation, so I think he'll take anything to Darlene's until we have a box.
Okay, but
Okay. I think we might need an unfrozen ground to get a box installed.
or unless it can be attached to the,
Railing.
Oh, we could do that we could look at that, yeah. Okay.
Oh, there's another first. What are you thinking?
I have to-do list. Petitions and so on, take a look at before you do the warning, I think.
We'll just hold on to the railing.
So you have to get the dimensions, how you know it's a longer. Make sure it's the right height for his car.
Yes, I'm very particular about that. I'll get little nasty grounds in there about it, I'll take perfect.
Yeah, there's nothing more strong than a vote for Bruce.
How's that like, I did that. We're having a great day,
Should be two. Yeah. Road commissioner and this one here.
so there is a petition here, for an article to see if the town shall have the select board eliminate the position of road commissioner and have the select board perform all the duties now conferred by law upon the road commissioner of the town as of the first Tuesday in March, 2023. I have a little bit of, trouble with the wording on this. So I don't know if my concerns or anything. It says to see if the town shall have the select board eliminate the position. I think it's the voters that eliminate the position and not the select board. I don't think the select board has the ability to do that. Does anybody know?
Isn't this similar to the article where they authorize the select board to borrow money to meet the needs of the town and that sort of thing? I thought it was the same thing.
I don't believe so. I think it can be worded to eliminate the position of the road commissioner. Shall the town eliminate the position of the road commissioner and have the select board perform all the duties? I think that can be. But to have the select board eliminate it, I don't believe that select board has the authority.
So Article 1 generally states, shall the town elect a road commissioner?
Yes.
And so, for the most part, the town either votes yes or no on that. So, if they don't want,
Well, this says here to have it gives a date and it gives the select board from all the duties now conferred to the road commissioner.
Does the petition give a statute? Because I can just look it up. It should say that it's brought, like the petition's brought pursuant to a certain statute up top.
The road commissioner plays an important but limited role in many Vermont towns as an individual charged by the select board to maintain the town highways. The road commissioner has no independent authority to act and can only carry out the orders of the select board. This is true whether the commissioner is elected by the voters or is appointed by the select board. Unless the town electorate votes otherwise, the provisions of Title 17 VSA 2646 appoint a road commissioner or remove him or her from office pursuant to 172651. The road commissioner, elected or appointed, shall have only the powers authorized regarding highways granted to them by the select board.
is this all one?
How many signatures are on that petition?
Towns will vote.
15.
Yeah, it just says that the towns to vote on one or two road commissioners who shall be elected by ballot if the town so votes. Otherwise, they shall be appointed by the select board as pursuant to that other statute.
So I don't think there's a thing that says that the select board can eliminate the position. And it says otherwise voted, right?
Voted or appointed.
It's, so if the town doesn't vote, I'm looking at the other statute now that it referenced. It's not ambulance services.
Yeah, road. See, because Article 1 always says that we elect a road commissioner.
But this gives a date and,
Yeah.
and things to it, but I don't, if it was voted yes, then I think the road commissioner would be appointed or eliminated, and it would become the charge of the select board, which can be, and has been before, years ago, many years ago. But I don't think that I think that would lead confusion if it were voted that way, and then
Do you recall how in the past, if it was the select board's purview and there was not a road commissioner?
I can remember that, but
How-
not while I
how-
was on the select board.
But how it changed?
It was a vote.
So,
You have to vote every year, shall town,
Elect a
Elect
road
road
commissioner.
so every year up until that point, the town had been, or maybe not every, but they were voting no? And then a year came along and they voted yes?
it
that
was, and I was fairly young at the time, but it was, the legislature eliminated the position of road commissioner for a year or two. It was then reestablished because towns wanted a road commissioner, and maybe Danny, you may know more about it than I certainly do, but
I'm not a commissioner. The town of Grafton, the select board of the commissioner.
yes, and that's what I believe this petition is asking for, except I don't think that it can say, do you know? I mean,
I don't think you can, I think you're right. I don't think you can eliminate it. You
Well-
know, it's up to the voters to,
Up to the
and they don't, you still can't eliminate it, somebody has to be it. Whether it's a person or the select board, but
Yeah.
it can't be eliminated.
No, but, well, in this, it says that the duties go to the select board, which it can.
But
It
it would
can be voted.
automatically go to the select board if the town voted.
No, because the town could then appoint a road commissioner.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
If by chance the voters voted no on that, on Article number 1, does the town then have to bring that article back for a vote the following year? Or would you just eliminate it from the warning?
I think it could probably be, I think if it was changed a little bit, it could be eliminated, but yes.
VLTC actually has a guide on this. I did not know about this petition, I just looked it up. So VLTC has a guide on the road commissioner and how it has to go about. And according to the VLTC guide here, it says that the town, if they vote to not elect a road commissioner, then the select board has to appoint one. The town has to separately vote to not eliminate the road commissioner position, but to give the select board authority to do that. So just if you don't elect one, it doesn't go away. According to the VLTC guide, it has to be separately voted to return the authority to the board. And so you couldn't like write in the town of Athens or something as like an alternate candidate is the way to do that.
It has to be the select board, yes.
It has to be a separate vote.
That's what I was saying. Well, does it say a separate vote, or does it say?
It says if voters choose not to, and this is from the VLTC guide, it says if voters choose not to elect a road commissioner, then the select people will appoint someone to that office. If the town votes to return the election process to choose a road commissioner, the election of a specific individual, if the town has voted to elect its road commissioner, in order to go back to appointing the commissioner, there must be a vote at an annual meeting to reauthorize the select board.
Okay, so I think this could be, the wording in here could be altered, and it could be one vote to say to eliminate the elected, to see if the town will eliminate the position, the elected position of road commissioner, and the select board perform all the duties now conferred by law upon the road commissioner as of the date. Would that not be a reasonable article, in your opinion?
I'm not giving legal advice
No, I
here, but
understand that.
I just have to clarify that. But I would just separate it by a semicolon.
But in the same article?
Yes,
Yeah.
but just create it as like two separate things, so then if anybody tries to say anything and it was two distinct parts, that would conform with that. So I would just do it
But it would only
as.
be one vote.
Correct, but just use a semicolon.
That being a petition, can we change it, or does it have to go back to the person who sent it to us and have them change it and have everything re-signed? That I don't know.
We do not have to add a petition on a petitioned article on the warning, I don't believe, if we vote not to.
So that would just go,
So if we took this petition and reworded it, I think we could put that on there. And I
For
think,
the selectmen instead of the petition.
I think we could-
You can't change what, I don't know
I don't-
who it is, but I wouldn't think you could change what people signed.
no, but we could turn this down and make
Do
up,
your own.
and do our own, very
Meaning,
similar.
kind of what that says.
I believe we can do that.
Town can change it, the select board can change it, yes.
I think,
then,
And put their own article in, because you guys are doing it. You're basically just declining on that petition and gonna put in what you think they meant.
that's what
That's the
I'm
way I'm
thinking that
understanding
we
it
can
from
do.
you.
Is that your, you got any other ideas on that?
I think that's what we could do.
I would say yes. I mean, I don't know the exact, to me, the intentions are to get rid of the position and have the select board be the road commissioners. But the wording is,
Do you agree the wording's not 100%?
Yeah.
yep.
Who's the petition,
I
handed
don't
in
know.
by?
I don't know who it came in by.
Came in by me.
Do you have an objection to that, or do you think
No,
that?
I don't.
All right, just, let's see if, well, let's try and work this out here.
So let me ask you this question. This article that says, shall the town elect a road commissioner, would be this new article?
Yes.
Okay.
So, to see if the town shall
Vote for the select board members to be road commissioners?
no. So this is how I would change this. And it would be to see if the town shall eliminate the position of elected road commissioner and that the select board perform all duties now conferred by law upon the road commissioner of the town of Athens as of the first Tuesday in March 2023.
2023?
2023, because we voted last year to elect one. We have the position open,
Okay.
so, and it's to be voted on by
So this
Australian
wouldn't take
ballot.
effect until 2023?
This would not take effect until 2023.
Oh, okay, that answers my question, because I was gonna ask, if you put that on, and the vote is no, do you still have the, shall the town elect a road commissioner on the same article? But it's, I'm in the same meeting, but it sounds like, yes, it would be on there for this year's meeting. The usual Article 1 would be there for this year's meeting.
No.
No, this will be
This will be there instead.
We're voting on 2023 stuff.
In
And there will
2022.
be an election for road commissioner this year.
Right,
But this will be on there instead of that.
but last year, we voted yes
To elect road.
to elect a road commissioner, and then we elected the road commissioner for this year. So if that's the case, then I would say that on March 1st, or whenever we hold town meeting, we are electing a road commissioner for 2022 to 2023. And if you put that article on there as well, and the town votes no, or votes yes on that, that doesn't take effect then until the following year, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
So then we would still need to elect a road commissioner. for
so we still need to
2022.
have number
We're
1
going
on
to
there.
vote on a road commissioner this year.
Okay,
If this were approved at town meeting,
that would be the last time we vote on a road commissioner.
until somebody brought it back up.
Exactly, okay.
Can I add one thing from VLTC that you said that I just wanted to clarify?
Okay.
So on the VLTC website, it says, if a petition asks for a vote at the annual town meeting, is the select board required to place that article on the annual town meeting warning? And VLT says yes, but only if, one, the select board of the petition is a matter over which voters have been given authority. Two, the petition is received at least 47 days in advance, and then if it meets the requirements of like the names of registered voters and signatures. So I just wanted to let you know that the select board, according to this, has to warn an article unless the voters don't have authority, which here you're saying they don't have authority to.
Well, they have
to do that.
authority to do that. They have authority to bring this up.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the wording of this is not
I
correct.
totally agree with you. I was just letting you know because you had said that.
Well, there are articles sometimes about
frivolous,
organic,
Yeah.
or GMOs and things like that the select board may get a petition on, but they don't have to take that and put that on the warning. Some towns
Yeah.
refuse it. We've always put things on that have come in with petitions.
This was just, I just wanted to let you know because you said that, so I'm just
Yeah.
letting you know there.
But there are things that the select board could keep off.
Right, it's,
Yes.
there's stuff that voters don't have authority over.
Yes. All right. So I will make a motion to make this Article 1 with the edited version, and it will say, to see if the town shall vote, to see if the town shall eliminate the position of elected road commissioner, and that the select board perform all duties now conferred by law upon the road commissioner of the town as of the first Tuesday in March 2023. Is there a second for that? Yes.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We, the undersigned legal voters of the town of Athens, hereby petition the select board of the town of Athens, Vermont, to place the following article on the warning of the annual town meeting to be held on the first day of March 2022. The petition is filed pursuant to 17 BSA 2650. We certify that we are presently voters of the town. The article to be placed on the warning shall read, article, shall the town of Athens expand the select board from 3 to 5 members. Do we want to put that as Article 2?
Well, we're still gonna have to elect a road commissioner for this year.
No. Well, yes and no. Article 1 is what we just voted on.
Correct.
In place of, shall the town elect a road commissioner?
But you were just saying that we have to have a road commissioner for this
Yeah.
year.
We do.
And that's not taking effect till 2023.
That's correct.
So we have to elect a road commissioner for 2022.
Yes. And that's on the list of officers to be voted on.
Yes. Okay.
But it is usually a separate article for the current year.
Yes.
So we're not giving the voters a choice this year as to whether or not we're electing I mean, last year it was a ballot and it was an article.
Yes.
So it would seem that it should be an article and a ballot again this year.
You have to, because it's Australian ballot, and the voters voted last year to do it, we're doing it this year. We are electing a position this year for road commissioner. If this is voted yes, then in 2023, you will not be voting on a road commissioner. If this is voted down, then there will be an election for a road commissioner in
So let me
2023.
just re-ask it, David, because I think maybe I understand now what you're saying. You're saying that last year when we voted yes to have a road commissioner, we were voting to do that this year. We weren't voting then to have it, and then Matt was elected to the position.
That's correct.
We voted the year before that we would vote again last year, and at that point, I mean, do you follow what
But
I'm...
because we changed from the open meeting to to an Australian ballot, it would carry over that we would elect the road commissioner this coming year, because that was the last article we passed was to elect a road commissioner. If we eliminated the road, if we tried to eliminate the position this year, we don't have the authority to do that.
But if it was the same as last year, and that's what I'm not understanding why it would be different. If we're electing, if we have a ballot that has road commissioner as one of the positions on it, just as we did last year, we would also have the question as to whether or not to have it. Because my understanding last year was that if we said no, then even, no matter who won, we wouldn't have had a road commissioner going forward after last year's town meeting. And is that not correct?
Even more than Krista, I'm not an attorney and not giving legal advice. But it's my understanding, because we voted yes last year, we will vote for that this year as a road commissioner. And that person will serve until March. And if this is approved, then it will be voted on then.
It's confusing because when you vote last year on it, it goes effective immediately. Now this year you're saying you're gonna wait a
That's the
whole
part.
other year to see if it will be the select board.
And then every year prior, when everything
Right.
was done from the floor in an open meeting, my understanding was if we voted no right then and there,
You didn't have.
then we wouldn't have taken up an election on that position when we got to voting for town officials. So that's my question as to why, if the article that you're adding now is effective of 2023, then it would seem to me that you still have to ask the question now for this year, do we elect a road commissioner or not?
Can you just ask VLTC?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this article will, I think that it's covered, but I have no problem asking VLCT. Does somebody want to do that? Either of you? I think there's no question on it that,
There is a question on it, because if we have people who are putting their name to be on the Australian ballot to be the road commissioner, we still have to see if we
No.
want.
no, because we voted it last year. It will be like the moderator. The moderator that was voted last year will be the one that presides over this town meeting.
And then the new moderator that's elected takes effect
But that's
after
not
the
been
town
case.
meeting.
Yeah,
It's not for the whole
That
year.
has not been the case. I remember the year that Beth Ann was elected moderator, and she took over right then and there. And I remember the following year, she was not at the podium at the beginning of that meeting when she should have been. And then there was election, and she lost, and somebody else came up and took over. I don't remember if that was you who took over at that
It
point,
was
or
not.
Stephen Fine.
It was not. But the moderator that was elected in March of last year will be the one that presides over this meeting, and then the moderator that is elected at town meeting will preside over the next year's.
I would only challenge that, if the meeting takes place on March 1st, yes, absolutely, because the election hasn't finished yet. But if the meeting is later,
If the meeting is postponed, then yes.
then there could be a different moderator.
Then it would be a different moderator,
Okay.
but with the, with the
Road commissioner.
road commissioner, it's gonna be who's elected is elected.
Right.
Okay?
I still think both questions.
Do you wanna check with VLCT on that? If you had the question too there.
I did have the question. I'm not gonna have time to call them and check with them by Monday. I can guarantee that, because I don't have time during the day at all.
Okay. I probably don't as well.
I can try, but I just don't want it to be a conflict of interest.
Sandy, could you check with them?
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you. All right.
Can I get a copy of your rewritten article?
Absolutely.
And just say that what the confusion is, that we always have, shall the town elect a road commissioner?
Yeah.
And now, this year, we're doing all elected officials by Australian ballot.
Yep.
Thank you, Sandy.
All right.
Are we moving on to this one?
Yes, we did move on and then we moved back.
Beep, 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 honk, 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 honk. Thank you.
So I would put this article as an Article 2.
When was that article received?
It was around the 13th, I think it was, yeah. It was maybe about it in one day, I can't remember. It was before.
Did you stamp, there's no date stamped on
It
it?
was before the due date.
It was before the due date, okay.
Well, even,
Um,
I mean, I think it's, enough people have signed it and want the question, I think
Yep,
it's reasonable
that's
to
fine.
have it.
But if we're going to need petitions to have officials and articles for the town clerk should stamp them when we finish,
Okay. That's reasonable.
Sounds reasonable.
just so that we know there's no question when they came in.
No?
And I don't know if you need a
I'm
motion
sorry,
for
but we
that,
can't
but.
hear.
What's that?
We
Oh,
can't hear.
It was when petitions come in that we should date them, the town clerk or assistant town clerk or something that takes
Just so
them
that we
in
know, because,
when they came in.
sure.
All right?
And I say yes, put that as Article 2.
Is that good with you, Article 2? All right.
Do you want to write on that, so it's Article 2? Well, they're not going to change, you'll know.
I know.
You know, okay. Do you have more?
Well, I don't think we have any
We
more.
don't have any more petitions.
Oh,
Just
no
those are
more.
the only two?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Article 2 shall become Article 3. Article 3 will become 4. Article 4 will become 5. Article 6,
Article 5,
be
we
six.
we don't need to do that
don't
again.
need to do 5.
So Article 6 will be the same with the new budget figures that we, and Hannah, do you have the figures so that we can actually,
She's
doing it right now.
I just realized I had to do that. Keep on.
all right, so Article 6 will be the same and we will vote on the figures. Article 7 does not need to be in there.
Did you wanna put in for the matching grant fund?
No, we already discussed that. We're gonna take that out of the excess monies.
Yeah, no, we still need to
Oh, we
vote.
need to put that in there, right.
Yeah.
So why don't we put that as Article 7?
7, right after the budget.
Yes,
Okay, Article 7 is gonna be what?
The,
recycling,
No,
not recycling.
matching grant
matching
fund.
grant fund.
Do we have the wording on that?
Yeah, but it's all different now since we changed the thing. I had to show the town of Athens vote to have 5,000 budget now.
Let's see it. We can.
There was two different ones, so.
I mean, if we just be simply changing the figure.
No. All right, so what about this? Shall the town of Athens vote to start a matching grant fund using 15,000 of surplus from the 2021 budget year, dollars to be used for highway and community center grants?
Sounds good.
Reasonable?
Well, I'm just thinking, that just specifically says highway and community center grants. Are there any other grants that possibly might come in that we might need matching funds? What about the IT grants? Or what about any other grants? That specifically says it can only be used for those two things. Because you did mention that there's possibly going to be IT
Yes.
grants available, and if we have to have matching funds,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have any money for that.
All right, shall the town of Athens vote to start a matching grant fund using 15,000 in surplus from the 2021 budget year to be used for highway and town of Athens projects approved by the select board?
I'm fine with that.
You good?
And that will be Article
That would be Article 7.
7
Is that using 15,000
of
surplus from
My writing is not that spectacular.
2021 budget?
I'm trying to write it out.
You could type it up and email it to us.
I could,
Yeah, you could.
but then that,
Working on it.
why don't we start working on the service articles there, and I will write
And do you
this down.
have the service articles?
I do, right here.
Have they changed?
No,
The amount?
the amount has not changed on any of them that we got. And I'm trying to find out if we have the health care. I don't see HCRS.
That's right.
I don't have an HCRS one.
Is it?
But I thought if they didn't change the amount, they didn't have to.
They have to send a request letter,
They do, okay.
but they don't
There's no
have.
petition.
No petition. And I don't
And those are
have,
just all request letters only?
yes,
Oh, okay.
and I don't have one from HCRS.
Okay, well, then
24,206 is gonna be.
we'll take Article 8 out then, since we do not have HCRS.
250 Women's Freedom Center, I do believe I have. Yep, right here, and it's 250.
Okay.
Okay, let me check.
Adjust this number, so this ultimately should be 0, so I have to take that number off of the thing too. There's a change in one more time, I didn't double check it.
Oh, sorry. 250, yep.
Okay.
So that would be Article 8.
8, that would be Article 8.
Article 9, youth services. I do have that right here for 330.
Okay, so that's 9. You don't need-
So that's 9.
Sevka is the next one. For $1,000.
10. Yep.
Okay. Bellows Falls Senior Center for $250.
Yep.
That would be number 11. Visiting Nurses Association Hospice of Vermont, New Hampshire for $13.50.
Big or little? Big or little?
Big. 50.
Big.
Okay.
Thanks.
So that would be 12.
Grafting Cares is 1,000.
Pink or yellow?
Yep.
That would be
Too many
13.
choices.
I know, huh?
And Senior Solutions,
Yep.
$300.
300, yep.
Who would like the budget figure?
So this is
To be
subtract,
raised by taxes.
to be raised by tax.
That's the amount to be raised by taxes.
And what is the total amount?
Hold on a minute.
And so
about that part.
Come on, Hannah.
I'll
get
bring
to
you
it.
another sticky in a minute.
We'll just fill it. So, can you read that?
You a doctor? Should the town of Athens vote to start a matching grant fund using $15,000 of the surplus from the 2021 budget year to be used for highway and town of Athens projects approved by select board? Yes, I can read that.
Is that reasonable, you feel?
Yes. Do we need to put 15,000 of the total amount or just,
No,
okay,
no, we don't raise it, we just do one and the other, and they'll be in that fund, and,
okay.
no.
And then the rest will just go back into the budget for the town?
If they vote.
Okay.
If not, it won't just go in the budget, it will be,
The whole thing will be surplus?
the 15 would be.
Yeah. If it doesn't,
That one is-
if that's not approved, the whole thing will just roll, reduce the tax.
So this
Yeah,
one
well,
Well, the tax,
no, because we specifically put it out there, so that would just go into a surplus.
but if they vote no on it, it just goes into a surplus?
Yeah.
Well, if they vote, okay, I thought it would go, because we're using the rest of the surplus to reduce.
Unless somebody voted to change those numbers.
Okay.
You'd have to vote to change the numbers. Do we have the numbers?
Yep.
All both of them?
Yep.
So, Article 6 will be, yeah,
Article 6, shall the town approve $578,489.20 with $374,232.31 to be raised by taxes to defray town expenses.
What was the last one?
374, 232.31.
So Dave, I actually have a question for you since you get done writing this.
All right.
I was just thinking back to the petition for the board. Would that take effect in 2023 as well?
No, I think that would take effect as soon as it was voted, and then we would have to have another election for 2 additional select board.
Are you sure?
There's a VLTC guide on that too, if you'd like me to share.
Go ahead.
Sure, go ahead.
Because I looked it up, so the statute that you said was 17 BSA 2650. So what happens, according to this guide in that statute, is if the voters say yes to the article, they do want a 5-member board, those positions are created immediately. The select board then has to appoint 2 people because those positions are vacant until the next election. The next election is technically March of 2023. However, the select board can choose to then have a special election. Since they're doing ballots now, you would have to give people time to collect signatures, and then they would then have to have a special election. So 47 days, I think, is whatever the deadline is, out. So there'd be 2 people that temporarily fill it until the election.
But if you had any sort of special town meeting, then you would have to elect them then.
Correct.
Whether,
Correct.
whether it was specifically to elect them or whether it was to approve whatever article it was, you'd still then have to put that on there and
Yes,
vote.
so all this is saying is that immediately the select board fills those until the select board calls a special election to then fill those seats.
And if we do happen to have a special town meeting, they would need to have a Australian ballot for those 2 positions. Okay. Because it's for all elected officials. Okay.
I believe.
But I'm confused about the special meeting piece that you mentioned, David, because we're doing ballots now, not in meetings, so why?
Which is what it's called.
Okay, so if there's a special meeting on what to do with the community center, then there would have to be, that vote would have to happen at that time, even though it's not an election. Okay.
And then the town voted to elect officials by ballot, so it's called a special town meeting even though we use Australian ballots for those meetings. That's just what it's called.
That's the town lawyer.
No, it's not legal advice.
Not legal advice.
It's the VLTC guide.
We should have little cards made up, and when people ask questions, it's not legal advice. All right, where were we now?
We did all the monies,
The money?
so we're down to Article 15, no, 16 would be 15, and that's,
Shall the town authorize the select board to set the time and date for future town meetings?
So, I think we should just have it as we used to have it and say, shall the town, to set the time of future town meetings.
to set the town.
I believe that's the wording of it.
The article currently says, for 16, shall the town authorize the select board to set the time of future town meetings?
So, Article 19 from 2019 is to set the time of future town meetings. So I think we should add that to, instead of,
Time and date?
shall authorize future town meetings. There are. Set the time of future town meetings. And then we should put in an Article 20 to transact any further business proper to come before said meeting.
So Article 16, that would be. So this, because Article 15 is to set the,
Article
Time
15
date.
set the time and date.
Set
Oh,
the-
set the date, time.
Set the time of
Yeah.
future town meeting.
so in Article, what was that one you just said?
The next article should be to transact any further business proper to come before said meeting, which is really nothing because you can't do any real business under that article.
What's all the wording on that? I didn't catch it all.
It's the old 20.
To transact
Yeah,
any further business proper to come
yep,
before said meeting.
okay. Okay,
All right. And with the figures of the $489.20 as a total budget, and $374,232.31 to be inserted in Article 6. And I will make a motion that we approve the warning as drafted.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, setting the time of the meeting and the date, what do we have from VLCT on that and the Secretary of State?
The state, Phil Scott assigned another option for the select board to set it by Australian ballot or postpone it. Isn't that right, Sandy?
It was Bill S-172.
Which provides the following emergency options for town meeting. Number 1 would be enables municipalities to move town meeting to a different date later in the year. And then the second bullet would be enables municipalities to switch floor meetings to Australian ballot voting.
Well, certainly right now is not a great time to have a floor meeting, but we are talking 2 months away and we don't know what things are going to be and what things are. So I'm kind of inclined to set it at the regular Tuesday at 10 o'clock, and if things are as bad as they are now, to then maybe start the meeting and then adjourn it until a later date.
I think Australian ballot's the way to go. I mean, we've had one death unfortunately in town, and I was talking to some people and what's next? They don't know. They don't want to be exposed to what the next variant's going to be. I think if we have an in-person meeting, our turnout is going to be way below what it normally is.
I would then prefer to see it later in the year when it could be outside, because that is an option that we can do it and not have it Australian ballot, because it was clear that the articles be voted on in person at our special meeting.
Yes.
So if we decide not to have it, I would prefer to move it to, as Governor Scott has mentioned, we can do it later in the year, where we can do it outside.
To do it outside, we're talking in probably the end of May. Mid-May.
And you're at the will of the weather.
But if we have it for that date and I mean, I know of several people that have tested positive, just this week in the area. So we don't know what it's gonna be like in a couple months. If it's like this, I'm not sure that we should have it. But we don't know what it's gonna be. I know, like, New York, which was hit worse first, kind of, with the Omicron, their numbers are dropping now. Vermont, I know some people that were trying to get treatment for COVID, and there's a 4-tier system out there now as to who gets treated and who doesn't, because Vermont is right now is one of the hottest spots per capita. If we do it for March, we can start the meeting and postpone it to a later date at that point. But we don't know what we're gonna have in 2 months. Is it gonna be this bad? Is it gonna be gone through? We don't know.
Yeah, but if you're worried about affecting people, granted, they wouldn't be together for that long, but would people actually come out? And, I mean, to have everyone gathering to start the meeting to stop
I
it?
don't think, it would not have to, because we did this once before. We had a blizzard,
And it was just postponed?
a handful of people. I think you were there, Don.
Yeah, I was there, I think it was about that.
A handful of people, 4 or 5 people were there. The word was out that we wanted to postpone it. We started the meeting, a motion was made to postpone until, I forget how many weeks away it was a few weeks.
I believe what happened was it was postponed, and then the postponing date, there was another storm and it had to be postponed a second time.
Oh, I don't,
No,
no.
it was
No,
only
that-
the once,
Only once?
only once, and then we had it within 2 weeks.
But it doesn't mean that if you start the meeting, you could postpone it till May or,
Question, can we rehash this conversation in February? Like, can we? No?
because we have to set it with a warning as to when the meeting is tonight. So, I mean, I don't wanna play with people's health and say everybody's gotta go there
Yeah.
in March, but then maybe by March, this will have, the peak will have long since passed us, and we will be,
I feel like if they're making school kids fill the school buildings with 300 people, 400 people, why can't 60 people sit up there?
I mean, certainly kids are not as susceptible to this as,
Well, plus the town just voted on it,
that's true.
and COVID was rampant then, so
No,
other people wanted it.
the Omicron variant wasn't as bad as it is now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's not as it is now with huge numbers every day.
But your motion is basically not saying that it will happen in March, and you may have to change it.
My idea is we set it for March, and then if things are bad in March,
Put the
a
board up and say
handful
you're
of,
gonna change it.
a handful of people can show up and say, we're moving it to May, or we're moving it to April.
Do you want to put in there, the date is, and put it in there, it's a possibility it will be postponed?
No, I don't think you
Okay.
can do that. You have to set a date,
All
I
right.
believe.
Then I would say set it in March, and then if everything is, the numbers are high, then postpone it.
And I think we will know by February's select board meeting what the situation is. If it's still like it is, I don't think we should have town meeting at that time in that place with everybody. Because there's gonna be a couple of people there with gray hair. I won't be one of them, but
If we set it for March, would we be able to, at our February meeting, postpone it, or would we have to, we would still have to open it?
we will have to start the meeting, but at that, I think by our February meeting, we can say that it's our opinion that we don't want to have the meeting at this time, and that we will open the meeting, and we are going to try and close the meeting and set a date down the road.
I have a question, would we do the elections, because that's by
We
Australian
would
ballot?
do the elections with the floor meeting.
So David, is there a set number of people that need to show up, or just somebody other than the board and the moderator, or can it just be the board and the moderator?
Can be held, there has to be a moderator, and then however many people are there, enough to make a motion, and so that'd be one other person probably. I don't think that there is no minimum to hold a town meeting.
Okay, I'm just gonna suggest that if that's the way we go, and I like that idea a lot, to just be able to say, what's it like on the ground right now, and what do we feel works? Then between the new Facebook group that Sandy created and the Athenian, we could get the word out even, a day or two or whatever before the scheduled meeting, to just let people know that this is what it's looking like, if the board wanted to advise that at that time.
Well,
And we expect a decision in February when we
Yes.
meet.
well, that's
Right,
what I'm
but
thinking.
maybe not, maybe you would, when do you meet in February?
We meet the 17th of February, so that's a little over a week, not even,
So there's not, yeah, okay.
So I would think we would be able to set it at that point, say, hey, we don't think that there should be a meeting, there's gonna be motions made, and then you have a whole week to put it out there
Yeah,
and let people know, and,
okay, well, and the Athenian wouldn't be out in that time, but the email list we've used many times, we certainly could do right after that select board meeting to let people know what your thinking is at that point in time.
If we're meeting on the 17th, isn't it 2 weeks?
first of March.
Lynn, would postponing the town meeting have any effect on the school budget votes?
I don't think so, because we'd be still doing the
Australian
Australian
ballot.
ballot.
Still be doing
Because those would be
that.
Australian ballot. That wouldn't affect.
So, no, I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 11 days till town meeting between our
So a week
select
and a
board
half.
meeting.
I think that would be plenty of time to.
I mean, we would know, and it's not gonna change in 11 days. It's not going from nothing to catastrophe, or it's not gonna go from bad, which it is now out there,
Complicated.
to nothing in 11 days. So I would think we would, is that reasonable?
I just hate the thought of jeopardizing anybody's life.
I
If
get
we
that
have
too.
this option, that's all.
I get that too.
Has there been a motion made on that?
No, but
No, we're just talking.
Okay, just asking. I got lost.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
I would make the motion that we have the meeting the 1st of March
At 10 o'clock.
at 10 o'clock, and then if need be, depending on the numbers.
No, there won't be we won't make the motion. We will make the motion to set the time of the town meeting at
10 o'clock on
March 1st. And
We'll make that decision with the rest of
And
us.
we will make the decision in, then whether we,
But we
at the
don't put
next
that in
meeting.
the motion, we just
No,
make the motion.
just the motion is March 1st.
Do we have a second?
I'll say. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I oppose it, I just.
All right. Anything else for the warning or the, and did we make a motion for the entire warning as
I
we
believe we did.
drafted
Yes, we
it? Or
did.
just the money article?
Yes, we did.
We did. But I do have a quick question. Where is the Australian balloting going to be? If we do not have town meeting, is it going to be down here or up there?
Well, I would think it would be up there.
Okay, that's, I was gonna recommend that because it's much
It's
larger
bigger
space.
Yeah, I believe it has to be up there, because that will be it'll be in the warning. now.
Okay,
It will be,
Okay.
it'll be up there.
are we on warrants now?
So that would be all day up there?
Yep,
Till what, 7 o'clock?
10 to
And-
7.
And people can get absentee ballots.
Yep. Oh, that's what I was gonna bring up and I forgot during boards and officials. We need to have a BCA meeting before,
Purge your checklist.
no, to go over the procedures for Australian ballot.
Oh, okay.
Can we do it next week?
That's what I was thinking next week.
Next Thursday? Good with you?
I think so. What's the date? The 27th must be.
Yes.
So that's fine. What time? 7, 6:30?
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock?
Yeah.
That good with you?
January
That good with
27th,
you,
you said?
Sandy?
That- Yeah, 6 o'clock is tight, but I can get here. 'cause I usually
Okay.
work late on
You
Thursday.
wanna make it 6:30?
No, I can, I'll be here.
Okay.
It might be dinner in hand.
That's
Sandwich
enough
in
for all
hand.
of us.
I think about me.
Something nice and vegan would be good.
So we're gonna do election procedures.
Yes. So warrants and mails, I have this credit application.
Yeah, I quickly saw that. I didn't know what that,
It's, Cold River Materials is another company, I don't know if it's another company, but there's a different name anyways. And they need a new credit application.
but they're the same people we've been dealing with, they just have.
Well, I think it's changed, the company changed.
Yeah, the company.
Okay, so,
Okay,
So I think it was just,
well, you were working on that, I will work on.
I will make a motion that we sign this for Cold River. It's actually now Northeast Paving. And
no, it's.
well, it's not, it's going by Northeast Paving, the company is EUROVIA. Europa. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, are we printing out Australian ballots here, or, are they- okay, I think that's the cheapest.
We can do that right here.
We did it last year.
Yeah.
Darlene, you need to notarize this.
Yeah. I don't have my number, but I can give it again.
Europa? How do you pronounce that? EUROVIA? Europa? You don't like them?
No, I was just trying to remember what the date was.
Oh.
I think it was
Which one?
23, one night.
Oh, the,
Oh, we don't,
no, I don't think so.
we didn't have anything for roads and equipment and stuff from that, right? He didn't send
We
any
haven't got the roads
information.
yet.
We haven't got to it yet. I think we've got the, did he say, you've
did.
got the thing for the plow?
It should
they're in
be
here.
in your select board box.
Okay,
Should be in the book.
I think that's all of that. Here is a overweight permit for, they send a check.
Yep.
I will make a motion for Newport Sand and Gravel, doing business as Carroll Concrete. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. So did we get 2 or 3 quotes here?
I think there was only 2. I thought he said he had one more, but.
Yeah, he said he had one more. coming from Fairfields, they do have it.
We've got a Fairfield.
Well, they have 2 or 3 different plows. I
Okay,
think one is the Everest that he's waiting on the bid for.
What are those prices?
Well, this is Fisher, which we don't really want, I don't think. That's the Fisher one. And this is for Vortex, plow with frame, shoe setup, carbide. What's that price?
Yeah, I think that's the one he said that they have to change the frame and everything. And the Everest, which they didn't get back to him yet, is gonna be probably the cheapest, because they don't have to do any of the framework or.
And does that money cost for the frame, that price?
I don't know, did he
Include
tell
the
you,
frame?
Sandy?
What,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
And this one says not installed,
No, I don't think any of them are gonna be installed.
okay. And is this a totally different plow, is that why they need to do framework?
I think so. And the Everest is one he hasn't gotten, they haven't gotten back to him about the price. He thinks that's gonna be the most reasonable.
Which one did he want?
The one that we
It's
don't
the
have yet?
Everest.
The one that,
I mean, we need to make a decision, but if I don't have the quote,
well, yeah. What was the last, didn't we have one the other,
that was
Yeah.
Fairfield, I think.
Yeah,
that's Fairfield, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
those are
those-
Fairfields, they have 2 or 3 different plows, they have the Fisher,
I think that was,
do we have that, the old quote?
that was
Danny.
7,300.
So, I mean, did a plow get ruined, totaled by an accident or something? It seems like this has been brought up a couple times, like it's something that has to happen immediately.
The plow's 10 years old.
And we were just.
And we put stuff in the budget and to plan to buy stuff, and that's why I'm asking, is the plow junk? I see it going down the road this last storm.
I know that they've had to do some work on the plow.
They sent it out and had it all refurbished, what, a year ago? A year and a half ago.
It was a while ago.
So it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me that we had it all redone a year and a half, 2 years ago, and then all of a sudden in the middle of the winter it's junk, because if it's junk, shouldn't insurance cover it?
I think it's just worn out is what,
We didn't know this before when it started? It wasn't planned for?
we were, but we wanted to purchase it in the new year and not the last year.
I looked it up.
see if I had it.
Darlene,
Let's see.
is this single, these two?
That was, last month's warrant, one of the bills got tucked down in, we
Okay.
missed it. And it's just for air gas for the cylinders,
So,
for the contract.
And for Kate,
Pardon?
and for Kate,
And for Kate,
okay.
yes.
so do we have, any idea how much, if we bought this Vortex, how much it would cost to redo the frame? Plow frame?
He didn't say, he said it was a lot more than what he wanted to spend, would like to spend.
Why wasn't there a price submitted to have it complete then?
Well, we were trying for quotes on what the different plows were gonna be.
Yeah, but they should have given us a complete price even.
Well, no, they're selling us a plow, but then will they fit on our vehicle? So, yeah, these are just the prices of the plows. If we get this Vortex, we're gonna have to change the frame, the plow frame to fit it. That's my understanding, right? Is that right, Sandy?
But you said you have other quotes from Fairfields with other plows. Will those other plows fit?
Well, we
our-
had one last month, but then we said we wanted more than one You don't have that anymore?
No,
I don't know why they would give
It
us
was
a
a
quote for a
verbal
plow that
quote.
doesn't fit.
It was?
yeah, it was about $7,300.
No, 83. I remember it was 8,300.
Was it 83?
Well,
Is this for the small truck or the big truck?
Small talk.
so I would make a motion that, that we wait for the Everest plow bid, and that we, compare all three of them, but we'd be able to purchase between, before the next meeting, that we can have a, that we communicate the prices of them and make the decision to which one to buy between now and then, without a formal meeting. But we wait for that other,
I will second that.
Okay, so we're gonna compare all three and make the decision.
we will, yeah, we will,
Oh, maybe we'll have it by next Thursday. We should have.
Yeah.
oh, I mean, this way we can call, with this motion, we can call each other and say, hey, this one is this, this is this, this is this, and go for that, and then buy it.
And what happens if we don't get that other?
Well, then we'll have to decide on one of these, but
Well,
they say they're
I'll
getting,
be meeting with Matt tomorrow, so I can bring it up, that it needs to be done pronto.
so we will get that so that we can get it ordered, get it here.
And you said that other one from Fairfield was just a verbal vote? That wasn't, nothing in writing, so basically we just have the two.
Yes.
Okay, what's this motion? Wait for Everest plow bid and compare all three and make the decision to purchase.
Yep, that we will, make a decision when we get to the second one.
So these are bid prices.
Yes.
Do you have a bid policy that you follow? So they don't have to be sealed or nothing, they can be, some come in on one date and then you can have some on another date and you still can have them open?
We can get estimates and go with this. It's not a sealed bid, they don't have to be a sealed bid.
Stamp over there? Cause I just realized I didn't stamp any of those.
I thought I put the stamp over there.
Oh, I don't have it.
All right.
I'll have to go back and stamp these. No, that was wrong, too soon.
We'll get that done. All right. Go for mail. Sandy, do you want to take these?
Yep. Do we have a second on that motion?
I
did. You made the motion.
Yep.
I second it.
I second it, didn't I?
No, you made the motion.
And Sandy. Denise seconded it. Put to a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Okay, all right, awesome, thanks.
Is this? Do that.
Yeah, maybe I'm in. days on that. Okay, thank you.
Not that I think we need to, but I'll make a motion that we continue to enforce a
Mask mandate.
mask requirement for town office. Is there a second?
I second it.
Is that just for town office or any town buildings?
Town, here, school,
Okay,
the old school, meeting house.
just double checking.
Town office or town buildings?
Town, for the town office and the elementary school and the meeting house that there is. And that will be until the next meeting. We will check again.
Back to stand. It was going so smooth.
Can I make you a coffee? Yeah, could you make me one too? Yeah.
Are you offering coffee?
No, coffee.
Oh,
Coffee.
I was gonna say.
Don't drink coffee. Devil's brew.
Well then. So quiet in here, guys.
I know. Gabe at Railroad Development.
That's badly out too.
I got some more information about handicap accessible rehabilitative accessibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know exactly the name of it, so. pass it on to you. Okay, good. Did you have the webinar today? Yeah, I was grocery shopping.
Okay.
I left town.
Those you can sign those.
About 8:30. Every now and then I do that.
So good.
Why do we have a late charge on this? Why don't we pay it?
What is it?
From Chappelle Tractor? We have a November late charge and then we have a December late
Because
charge.
we never got the invoice until now.
Well, I think we would tell them.
Yeah,
I'll give them a call Monday.
yeah, if we didn't get the invoice, how did they send it to you? Mail or email? Mail?
I think it's mail.
Yeah.
That doesn't look printed out.
No. Because this says packing slip, not an invoice. $40, but still, we shouldn't get.
Give them a call. And approve it, but.
$42. And this is not attached, so be careful.
Yeah, that's to send it back with
Yeah.
the check. Let me have that.
That's up there.
Yeah.
Do they mail these Yeah, it's because we never got the original one. Like a They purposely like wait 31
Yeah, I guess you
days
can.
and then tell you.
All right, we will move on to roads.
All right, roads.
Sandy's got it.
Matt asked me to relay to you that the little truck sander had been acting up. I guess a variety of small problems, but they've been dealing with it and got it worked out. Sand pile is good, as well as the salt. And we are still working with FEMA.
I know other communities are as well.
Yes, it's a never-ending project.
Anything else?
That's it for me.
So the sander is working?
Yeah, it's just been a variety of small problems that they've been able to deal with.
All right.
Well, this one's for the sander. Over $1,000.
Oh, not so small.
No, that's not small.
No, that was, I think what did you say, the gears?
The gearbox.
Yeah, gearbox.
I think you did mention this morning, Hannah?
What's that?
You did mention this morning that next year we should be looking at possibly a new sander.
Eugene said
Eugene, yes.
something about it.
But they could get through this year.
Be all right.
I was just wondering, how come, it seems like there's a lot of questions that our road foreman could answer. How come he no longer comes to the meetings?
He's sick tonight.
I know he's been to some meetings. All right.
This is gonna be one. Yeah, 3 months.
All right, pay rate for the, elected officials,
Yep.
is what? 12, what, 30?
12.55, I think it is.
Yeah, it's 12:55 now.
12.55. I will make a motion that we, set the pay rate at 12.55 an hour.
We're getting a raise?
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it comes out to be almost $12.50 with all the figures for it.
Yeah, so's mine, and I'm a lot
That's not-
older than you, so.
But we got that.
I know.
Is there a second to that?
I second it.
All those in favor? Aye. We probably should vote on that again next month. All right.
Effective when?
January 1st. There is a certificate of highway miles. I will make a motion that we, sign it, although there is an issue with the Sam Fire Road, not being updated on the official highway maps. Is there something somebody can do with Dummerston about, trying to get that reclassified as it has been?
I do believe you can state it right on that form and attach the minutes of the decision, and they're supposed, that is the form that they use to update their maps, if you attach the proper things to it.
All right, I will make a motion, we sign this with the, information that should be changed, reference to the Sam Farr Road, making it, going from a class 4 road to a town trail. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you know what he uses these for? I know it's a storage bins, but. Okay. Just-
It's just, I think it's just the bins, I think. I don't know.
Did you second?
Well,
Yes,
Did you second that?
Yes.
yes.
and all those in favor, aye.
You know, we keep getting all these bills and not knowing anything about them. What, oh, it's attached to Sandy Road.
You need to sign it. You need to sign it. And can one of you get the minutes for that? You,
I'll get the minutes to
oh,
it.
when we reclassify. Denise got to sign it. And then you got to sign
Yeah, I
it.
was gonna say, I thought I had to sign it too.
Do we know what was on with the headlights on the big truck?
I do not.
They replaced them with the
Oh,
heated
you
heated
did
ones.
talk about the, remember there was something about, wasn't it?
These are the heated ones, $1,400.
Yes, they're expensive.
It was, but there was something wrong with the old ones, wasn't there?
Yeah, they couldn't see with them.
Yeah,
Something, the snow would be.
I
did talk
understand
about
that, but I didn't think it was
I didn't know. how much.
$1,400 for headlamps. I'm in the wrong business.
That's gonna be more than one set.
I think so.
It's gonna be two.
It's, all it says is shipped is 2 headlights. It just says shipped 2. It doesn't
Two
say,
units. So there's 4 lights.
okay,
Cloud lights come in pairs.
okay. I'm getting there, guys. Are you waiting on me?
Just if you want to remember.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have to,
You have to get the minutes from when we had the hearing and attach them with this and make a note in here on number 3.
do you have to
Reclassify.
hear it?
Yes.
That doesn't have to be these minutes, it has to be
Have to be the minutes from,
same time.
Three,
what, 3 years ago? 4
Yeah.
years ago?
I don't know where I got it. We did it.
So we got $2,960. They paid this amount.
Oh, so it's the old one.
No, they recorded this. They recorded the deed
From that.
Yes, on this. They wrote a check for this. But it
And then
really
we owe them.
They wrote a check for this, but this is all it should have been.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So just a refund. Okay.
We did it in October 2018.
Another 500. That dumpster's still not up there, right? It's all gone and taken care of?
Oh, gone, gone, gone.
Good, just double check.
Long time gone.
We're on V, we're getting there.
Can I keep this statement, or do you, I can get a copy?
What are these walkie-talkies for?
Emergency committee.
Ah, okay. And it comes out of that fund?
Yep.
$79, 78 change.
No, 90 something.
Oh, is there?
78,
Up there's the total. Over there, yep.
99 old. Was she, have you got the walkie-talkies?
Got them right here.
How far do they reach and,
Oh, I haven't even opened the package.
oh. All right. But are they just an open source signal?
That's a question for Sheree.
Okay.
Sheree found the ones that we needed, and I did the paperwork.
I didn't.
All right. Ready?
W&W, I'm getting there.
Yes, the last one.
Can't really read that.
No, it was for nail gun.
It's a nail gun.
For the, doing the sand shed.
circular saw and a nail head gun. Right. Sign this one, I'm signing my life away.
And then add that to the minutes. In there's where we put the
Oh, put the,
minutes. Well, we
do I
don't,
have
but
to make
we,
a copy of the minutes?
we have to make a copy of the minutes and make a notation in there, the
Okay.
minutes attached. to the- All right, any further business?
I'd like to talk to you about the sick time,
Okay.
that it doesn't seem to be being carried over,
I didn't hear what.
Sick time.
sick time.
Oh,
It doesn't seem to be carried over year to year and accumulated.
they can't hear you.
Sorry.
The exhaust fans, Peter's going.
The sick time isn't carried over year to year, do we know that? Is-
Oh, it definitely is.
Yes, but it's supposed to accumulate for up to 30 days, not 30 days worth.
I don't think it's 30 days worth, but Darlene and I did go by the personnel policies. I mean, unless we made a mistake.
Yeah, I thought it was 30 days.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Janet and I both looked at it, and it seems to be 30-day total.
Yeah.
So it should be accumulating year by year if not used,
Yeah.
and it doesn't seem to be carried over.
Okay, we definitely rolled an amount over. We can look at it again for sure if we did it wrong.
Yeah, it's accumulated up to 36 days. But no more than, it's confusing, but, and now,
Employee may carry a maximum of 6. The employee may carry a maximum of 6 leave days forward to the next year, or a maximum accumulation of 30 sick leave days. So, how do you interpret that you can carry a maximum of 6 forward?
So if we had 6 last year
Yeah.
and they didn't use them,
Yeah.
then they would be carried forward to
Yeah.
this year and added to the 6 that go with this year, giving them a total of 12.
Yeah.
And then they would do that until they accumulated 30 days total.
Pretty sure we did that. I think 6 days does ring a bell that they both had
I know we
6
did
to go
discuss
forward.
it, so, but I don't remember what we rolled over.
We'll double check it.
Well, maybe the confusion is too between the fact that the policy says days, but you are dealing in hours rather than
No,
We
days.
can do multiplication. We got that.
And does, so if they don't use it, they roll over,
yeah.
but have they been taking sick time?
There was some sick time taken, but they still didn't get the total. They got the 6 days rolled over, but there were still extra hours or days left that they didn't get rolled over to this year.
What do they start the year with?
I don't know, I didn't go back that far, I was just, Eugene brought it to my attention.
So is it on both or just one?
I didn't look at Matt's,
Okay.
I just looked at one.
So, yeah, I mean,
It just,
if you take 4 hours of sick leave, then you'd have 5.5 days that would roll over.
I understand that.
And then if you didn't take any,
Then you have 6 days.
6
rolled over.
days, and then you get 6 days and up to 30.
I understand that. So from his hire date till present, if he didn't use any of his sick time, how many days should have accumulated?
well,
You'd have to look at the policy, because he doesn't start sick days immediately. I
For a
don't-
year.
For a
Yeah.
year.
I think we just have to look at the,
So it's, yeah. he's,
But it should say on the check printout, what,
it does. It
how
says
much
on the
year-to-date
check
you've had for sick leave and,
I mean, first year doesn't count, so what's it, 2 more years, 3 years,
so.
18 days.
It has a makeup right here. I know we rolled them over, but I don't remember how many we did.
On the thing there, it shows that they were all rolled over, still remaining on the stub.
I don't believe they were, David. Because I think Eugene had something like 65 hours.
It says 96, and then it rolled over to 96.
No, this was from last year. What
Yeah,
pay
so
period
it's-
is this?
This
one
is
This-
January, the second one in January.
The second one, this, I was dealing with the first one.
But it says there he's got 96.
Right, and that,
But there was like, I don't know if it was 65 or something like that. So they weren't totally all rolled over.
Okay.
I know it's confusing the way it is in the policy.
so if it was more than 6 days, only 6 would have rolled over.
No, if he had, say, 12 days at the end of December, those would have all rolled over.
So then he would have had 18 for this year.
Didn't it say a maximum of 6 days could roll over?
Then how do you accumulate 30?
Yeah, you could never accumulate 30.
Yes, you would.
Well, if you never,
If you're only rolling, if a maximum of
it
6 is
just
being.
depends on how many days you get per year, I guess, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if you could ever accumulate 30, but the policy clearly says a maximum of 6 days roll over each year to a total maximum of 30 days.
Now, did we do days or did we do hours?
It looks like you did hours
We did
on
hours.
stuff.
So 96 hours is 12
12 days.
days, so I think he got 6 new ones and we rolled 6 over.
But there was some left over that you never rolled
From
over.
the-
Because we'd said, because I remember, Dennis, you remember talking about that, because we were working on the policy when you were there. It was specifically so if somebody, they could get up to 30 days, so if they were sick, if they had an operation, something like that, over time, they would have 30 days. And
But then,
Thought we were gonna give them a rollover 30. We can only accumulate up to 30.
up to 30. And then, once you accumulated that many, you couldn't accumulate more.
You had 30 accumulated and you didn't take any another year.
You
couldn't
did-
roll it
you
over
lost
and get
it.
36.
You lost
it.
Yeah, you limited to 30, but you could keep rolling it over. It shouldn't have stopped at 6 in a year.
Well, I don't know, do you wanna count 1 year rollover that's already been rolled over? So you earn another 6 the next year.
Well, we don't have a way of tracking
already
in
rolled
the
over
system
6.
what's, if you have, we don't have a way of tracking in the system. I mean, if we need to, we can figure out a way of doing it manually, but we can't, if you have 96 hours at the end of a year, we don't know how many of those came from the year before, or 2 years before, or 3 years before. To us, it's just 96, and so we'll take
Yeah.
6 days worth of that and roll it over. So you do lose.
But you shouldn't. The
No.
only way you should lose is if you have accumulated 30,
correct.
and then the next year you come up and, well,
So you might have to amend the
Yeah,
policy
it
to
sounds
take
like
that
the policy's
6-day
screwed.
thing out, because we're following that and we're not,
are we sure it's 6
accumulating.
days, not 6 weeks? Because 30 days was to be 6 weeks. five 8-hour
I mean, we
days.
can look at the policy.
There
Yeah.
was, I know I see it was a week. 65 or something like that.
But, yeah, my understanding and just the wording that you can't accumulate more than 30 days, which would be 6 weeks, would mean that you can roll it over, is my, is that not reasonable?
Could you amend the policy to be clear?
Yeah.
on
We certainly
how that
could.
works? Okay.
We can put that on for February.
Yeah,
We
so
can.
they did lose some.
So I will make a motion that, that we look at the policy, in the February meeting, but that it is our understanding that they can roll over up to 30 days, and do not start losing, sick time until they have accumulated 30 days. And then they do not gather any more than that.
And should that be
To me, that would suggest
retroactively?
then they could have 36 in that next year. If they
No.
can roll 30 in and they get 6.
No, you get a total of 30. You
You
get
could put
total.
an example in the policy, just
Yeah.
so you know. I think that might be beneficial, so
The
that,
what?
when you write an employment policy, you're allowed to put in an example to
Mm-hmm.
clear up any clarification, so I would just suggest maybe doing that, so that there's no confusing about the wording and it's not up for interpretation.
I
You
don't,
can give
I
the
don't have the
example.
policy in front of me, but
Yeah.
the 30 days, was with the idea of 6 weeks.
Yeah, and you can just put in that example. The example you just gave was very clear, clearest thing I've heard, so I would just put in an example like that.
A lot of things I said was clear, even with the
That was
mask
just
on.
crystal clear, David, that was great.
All
Was
right,
that crystal clear? Yeah,
all
I
right.
haven't heard that joke.
Alright.
I wanna make sure you know 30 days is 4.2 weeks, not 6 weeks.
No, 30, but if you have 5 days in a week, and you.
Working days.
Working days.
Oh, working days, okay, I understand that.
So that would come out to 6 weeks.
That's also math, thank you.
All right, any further business?
We didn't have a second on that one.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, we will look at the policy in there. If he needs the sick time between now and then, we will work it out somehow, but he shouldn't be, I don't think he should be losing days or hours.
So if we look at the policy in February, we can't amend it, it would be like a first reading, or can we amend it in February if it needs to be amended?
I believe we can amend it, because we've spoken of it tonight. We're gonna bring it up in February, and I believe we can amend it
Okay.
in February.
So do you want to say look at and amend if needed?
Yes,
Okay.
we'll look at it and amend it.
Okay.
All right, any further business?
The
Is
only-
there, did we vote on that? Is
Right.
there a second? You seconded it?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
The Meeting House Rehabilitation Fund. I'd like to get that money back from the
From the meeting house?
Meeting House. I mean, as far as I understand now, they have over $110,000 sitting in the historical account. So, with the cost of fuel and everything else going up, and people with inflation, they may need that rehabilitation fund.
I know we've had a couple of people ask about the rehabilitation fund, and we haven't had the money for them. Has the meeting house brought that up? Meeting house committee brought that up?
Nothing new since the last time we did, and I think reported to you folks that the sense of the committee was that we were working towards being able to generate income from the building. And that meant getting work done, renovation done that would allow for that.
I do think that we should, like I say, I know of at least two people that have come forward asking for a loan from that money because they needed it. They were, or discussed it, and the money wasn't there. I think some kind of a plan needs to be in place
I agree.
to get the money back to the
Is there
housing
no
rehabilitation.
money in the fund?
What?
There's no money in the fund?
There is not a lot of money in the fund. I don't know the exact amount. Do you know?
The balance sheet, Darlene should have a balance sheet somewhere in the file.
But it is not.
I think it's only like 11,000 or something like that.
I think that sheet here somewhere, I know it is.
So I think we need to, the meeting house committee really needs to work on figuring out a way to getting that money back to the rehabilitation fund for what it was intended.
I mean, I know they gave us $5,000 and the impression was they were supposed to give us $5,000 a year and that has
did
not
not
happened.
happen.
Well, just to refresh everybody's memory on that, that was the request, I think, and then there was a response from the meeting house committee to that request, and then there was never any kind of a formal response from the board to that in terms of any written response. And I would just also remind us that when that money was, prior to that money being loaned to the meeting house committee, the conversation that David and I had, which brought that up, also included the fact that that could, or some of that could have been in the form of a grant to the meeting house committee. And I would like to talk with the committee and then revisit that with the board.
I was never under the impression that it was a grant. From day one, the $20,000 was a loan that was to be.
I understand that, and I was not at the meeting, no one from the committee was at the meeting. But the conversations that David and I had prior to that, it was David's suggestion that the meeting house committee could request that and it could be a grant. That's what David had said to me.
But it was the loan fund there, they granted it, but it was a loan without interest to the meeting house committee. It wasn't a grant.
I understand that, David, but your conversations with me indicated that a grant was something that could be done.
But it wasn't. So
So they have $11,000, $11,839, and then they have $15,000 from the meeting house loan.
Yep, so that would. So I know people have even talked in meetings about affordable housing. I think Wishy, you said something about affordable housing and things like that. The Housing Rehabilitation Fund is our small thing that we can do to help that. If somebody needs a well, or if they need a new roof, or they need to, their house isn't complete, that's what that money is there for, that people can borrow from. So it's even been talked about other than the people that have applied and didn't get the money that.
I mean, with this cold weather, they could lose a furnace and need money.
And what about the funds in the Campbell Fund? Can that be utilized in a similar way to assist residents?
No.
No.
What's the purpose of the Campbell Fund?
That is if people don't have money for lights or fuel or groceries.
Or doctors,
Or doctors, yeah.
medicine, that kind of thing.
So what Janet just said about heat, that could be utilized there.
Heat, yes, furnace, no.
Heat, yes, furnace, no?
Oil.
Oil, yes, furnace, no, okay.
And the Campbell Fund is very limited at the moment because they have most of their money in a CD, and according to the rulings of the Campbell Fund, at least $4,000 always has to be kept apart from any money. And the Campbell Fund is not set up the same way as the Rehabilitation Fund.
Meaning what, Cindy?
The Rehabilitation Fund is set up on the basis that it is supposed to be for private use, for not It was never intended as a loan for the meeting house.
Well, yes, it was,
Originally-
no, it was,
No, originally in the 80s, it was set up by the feds that they gave to the state for 20 households.
yes,
to be-
but it was not given to them, it was loaned to the meeting house, it was not given. You said it wasn't a loan, it was
But
a
it
loan.
says in the regulations that they don't seem to have changed since the 80s, private use.
That it should not have been in the first
It
place.
should not have gone to a municipal building, it should only be for private use.
No, I understand that, but it wasn't a gift to the meeting house, it was.
Yes,
Yeah, but it- what-
I
what's
understand.
Andy saying?
I just didn't wanna make it sound like that it wasn't loaned, it was a gift.
It's a loan, but it should not have been loaned to the meeting house as
Municipality.
a municipal building.
But is it not correct that
We're like beyond the bottom of that.
my understanding of this fund is that there was a set amount, and then once that was loaned out and then paid back in, the town had,
When the initial funds came, there was money for the town of Wyndham and the town of Athens.
Right,
There was an organization that administered the grant
right.
for the two communities. They took about 70% of the money to administer. After there was no more money for administration, the town had to take over the administration of the funds. And that is, so our $100 and some thousand then became the 35.
Okay, but I believe from our conversations, David, I came away understanding that once the amount that had been given or had been left in the fund at that point had been loaned out and paid back, then the town had control of that money and
You
could
have
do
control of that money.
what they chose to do with it, and in fact,
Through that board.
and in fact, money had been given to the meeting house at an earlier time, and I believe money has been utilized by the cemetery at some point.
I don't believe so from that.
No?
And the rehabilitation committee has never changed the guidelines that were originally handed out. So if we go by those guidelines that we originally got, what happened was incorrect and the money should be paid back to the town so it can be used for people in the town that are truly in need of it.
So I think it would be reasonable to have it go before the meeting house committee to come up with a plan and a goal, action, a timetable as to when to pay back this money so that we can have it to loan out to people that may need the money. Is that reasonable with you?
That's reasonable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Yeah, we'll put it on our agenda for our February meeting.
All right, that will be good. Anything further?
No.
Anything further?
No, I can wait.
Okay. I will make a motion to adjourn.